of an Hour by Kate Chopin. My summary is that the story of an hour starts off by Mrs. Mallard getting news that her husband died in a terrible accident. She is distraught and goes to her room alone. While there, she gets this feeling of freedom when looking out her window. She realizes now that with her husband no longer alive, she has freedom and can live for herself. Mrs. Mallard goes downstairs cheerfully, now excited for her future. Suddenly, someone unlocks the front door and pushes it open. It was Mr. Mallard. Mrs. Mallard then dies from shock when she realizes she is not free after all. My thesis statement is in the story of an hour, author Kate Chopin shows Mrs. Mallard's emotional transformation through tone, personification, and dramatic irony to reveal that the true meaning of a joy that kills is Mrs. Mallard losing her freedom. My claim for body paragraph 1, or my topic sentence, is Kate Chopin uses tone to show the beginning of Mrs. Mallard's emotional transformation. My key evidence for this is she wept at once with sudden wild abandonment in her sister's arms. My historical evidence to support this is that societal norms for women during this time women were often not allowed to express their true feelings, specifically grief or dissatisfaction with their marriage. My analysis is that Mrs. Mallard experiences shock and is extremely distraught when learning about her husband's death. The quote highlights her initial emotional state before she experiences her emotional transformation. This quote helps with understanding Mrs. Mallard's transformation and the emotions she experiences throughout the story. This is my visual symbolism. For body paragraph 2, my claim is that Kate Chopin uses personification to show Mrs. Mallard's emotional transformation. My text evidence for this is, but she saw beyond that bitter moment a long procession of years to come that would belong to her absolutely, and she opened and spread her arms out to welcome them. My historical evidence to support this is that during this time, women were expected to be subservient to their husbands and follow the domestic role, showing the meaning that to a long procession of years to come, symbolizing a future of independence for Mrs. Mallard. My analysis is that Mrs. Mallard's realization shows her eagerness to embrace life on her own terms and not her husband's, and she is now liberated from her marital constraints and eager to explore her future. And Mrs. Mallard's emotional transformation from her grieving over her husband's death to joy and anticipation of her newfound freedom. This is my visual symbolism. Kate Chopin uses dramatic irony to show hints to the meaning of a joy that kills. That's my claim for body paragraph 3. My text evidence for this is he stood amazed at Josephine's piercing cry at Richard's quick motion to screen him from the view of his wife, but Richard was too late. My historical evidence for this is that women were seen as emotionally fragile, sensitive, and dependent on their husbands. So this shows Josephine's piercing cry proves that by her expectation, she's expected to be extremely emotional because of what is happening. So my analysis is Mr. Mallard's unexpected return reveals a shock to the people in the house. Richards tried to that's a typo, but we're just gonna ignore that. Richards tries to shield Mr. Mallard from his wife's reaction, which is her joy at what she thought was his death, but he fails to do so. This shows Mrs. Mallard's ultimate shock was triggered by seeing her husband, not by grief over his death. This is my visual symbolism where you can see that the doctor is trying to figure out what is wrong with Mrs. Mallard after she died of a joy that kills. My bracketing statement is that in the story of an hour, Kate Chopin reveals that the true meaning of a joy that kills is Mrs. Mallard losing her freedom through her emotional transformation. My personal response is that this lesson reminds me that women in today's era have control of their lives and have independence. Unlike Mrs. Mallard and many other women during her time who had to follow their husband's demands, women in today's time have the power and freedom to make their own choices for themselves without a husband. And this is my bibliography. And yeah.